I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, and I'm located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Monroe, Washington. And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey folks, thanks for listening to Wheel Talk. We would love some more interaction with you all throughout this future episodes, and we would love to hear some listener questions. They may get on the episode.
Yeah, just submit them to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com, or you can submit them on our Instagram at wheeltalkpodcast. Thanks.
Hi, Becca.
Hi.
How's your day going?
You didn't say we're live.
Oh, sorry. We're live.
We're live. Hi. My day's going pretty good. I'm currently eating ice cream.
Yeah, I told her I was eating Rice Krispies, and she was jealous, and then she thought I meant Rice Krispie treats, but I meant Rice Krispie cereal, so she's eating ice cream.
True.
She's the winner in this.
I'll eat more of it when he's talking a long period of time, and so I can mute my microphone. But good. Today's good. I woke up really tired. I don't know why, but then I've gotten some stuff done today, so that's good. And I'm ahead of schedule on a few things, which is nice.
You just been chugging away at your wholesale planter order?
Wholesales, and then I have my flash sale bowl order too.
Oh, okay.
I gotta get that done today, so yeah, should be good.
Nice. You still got some
doing?
time today. A lot of the day left. So I'm feeling a little better. I know we talked a couple days ago, and I was feeling kind of crappy. I'm feeling better today. I did a lot of daytime, nighttime cold and flu stuff. So
You should take vitamin D.
My cough's gone away some. I haven't ever taken like multivitamins or vitamins and stuff like that.
Well,
so
a trick that my mom always told me is that if you start like feeling like you have a cough, I'm telling this to the whole world now, but if you have, if you start to feel like you have a cough, like take 3 times the amount of vitamin D you normally would. So like 3 pills instead of 1. And it usually kicks it out pretty good. Also that and whiskey. The whiskey helped.
yeah, you told me the take a shot, so I basically took a shot of Fireball.
I told him to take 2 actually, and then he texted me and said, "I'm too weak for 2."
Yeah. And by shot, I don't mean I took 1 shot. I was like sipping it and drank it and snacking and stuff. So yeah, feeling better. Work today, and then it's still early, so I'll head to the studio after we chat, and I'll work on some planters and stuff.
Yeah.
That I'll finish up, which will be good. I got a nice, probably 30 or so planters that I need to put holes in the bottom of and finish up.
Sweet.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Okay, so we are now going to do a listener question segment.
Yeah. So between Becca and I, we're each going to pick one of the questions that we've got so far. Thanks you all that have sent them in so far. We've got a few so far, and we still want more. Becca, what are you choosing? What's your first question?
I will choose. What? I was gonna choose. Okay, I'll choose the what's a typical day at the Paint-A-Pot studio, and this is submitted by Sable Studios at Sable Studios. And so a typical day at my shop, which is mostly paint your own pot, is pretty boring. I feel like we open at 12, and then people come in and they choose their pieces and stuff. And usually I'm not super busy, especially right now. Usually it's like 10, 15 people in the day, and then they paint their stuff. But I will say that I have this one regular named Linda, and I love her. And she comes almost every single day just to say hi.
Dang.
Or just to, well, she lives down the street and she's retired. So, like, she literally lives, like, it's on her walking route. And so, she comes in usually, and sometimes she paints some stuff, and then, she's gonna start selling pieces that she's painted. So we got her some bulk bisqueware, and she's going to sell some stuff. So that's been fun, getting to know Linda. But
So you're saying you got bulk bisqueware for her to paint that's specific to her only?
yeah, so like basically I bought her some mugs and stuff, and mugs and bowls and plates that she can glaze, and she does pour over glazes, like where they're all marbly and stuff. And so she's gonna come and paint them at my shop, but she has her own glazes and she has her own bisque, and so I'm just I'm just charging her for firing. But yeah, so that's really fun. Me and Linda hang out most of the day, and then yeah, that's mostly it. I mean, we just kind of chill out and listen to music, and sometimes members come in, and yeah, it's pretty chill. I usually don't do pottery. Sometimes I paint. So
Yeah. Do you have people that do they plan to come and do that, and they already kind of know what paint-a-pot is, and like
yeah,
they've done it before, or okay?
Yeah, it's like 50-50. Like, I have a lot of repeat customers, and then I've got a lot of newbies too. So we're getting more new people, but the repeats have been pretty okay. Yeah. Okay, Ryan, what is your question?
All right, so since you picked a question that was relevant to you, I'll pick one that's relevant to me. This one is from @Maddie_Catford. And it says, do you need to add water to soak the plaster lining the damp boxes before using them? I'm wondering if plaster will draw out too much water from the clay, should there not already be water in them. So she's talking about damp boxes. I swear by them in my studio. I'm not in there every single day, so damp boxes are key for me to keep things from drying out. And I don't put any water in my damp boxes, so they probably have about an inch deep of plaster in the bottom. And I don't see pieces like drying out, so I've never put water in them. Becca says she does. How much water do you put in them? Do you pour like a cup in the whole thing?
Yeah.
Or
I pour it in until it starts, it absorbs it all. Maybe it's because, I am not putting a ton of clay in my damp boxes. I don't use them as much as you. And so sometimes I'll pull them out and see that things are kind of, drying up a little bit. And so.
Okay. Yeah, I think my bins tend to condensate a little bit. So I think that kind of keeps the moisture in them. So it condensates on the inside wall of it, if that's the right term for it. And then I see it beating up. I think it's probably because there's a heater vent in the basement that's right above it. So there's probably more heat in that spot, and it's causing the box to sweat a little bit. And then the moisture's on the inside, and then it just kind of goes down into the plaster. So I think that kind of keeps it rehydrated and moisture.
Yours are also way bigger than mine. I have really short wet boxes.
Yeah.
Mine are maybe 5 inches, 6 inches tall.
Okay. Yeah, mine are a lot bigger than that.
Height, and yours are huge.
I don't know the tote size. Does 30 quarts or something sound right?
Yeah.
Is that a typical tote?
Yeah, he's
It's
got
a storage
regular
tote.
Rubbermaid size.
Yeah. And it's pretty good thick plastic or whatever, so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
also,
so that
use
answers
ceramic
that one.
plaster. Don't use the shitty stuff from Lowe's.
You can use this stuff from Lowe's if you don't have a pottery supply store.
You
can
totally
use that.
can, but if you have a pottery supply store, it's actually usually cheaper to get it at the supply store.
Yeah, so. I used the DAP plaster for a long time. I did get some pottery plaster recently, and that's what I used for my reclaim plaster.
Yeah.
That
for sure.
Put
Reclaim
that on,
should be out of pottery plaster.
So that's been pretty good. But yeah. So that's all the questions we'll answer for today. Feel free to keep sending those to us. We'll answer one or two each week as we talk.
They don't have to be about clay.
Yeah, they could be about us or whatever.
Yeah, they can be about anything. Don't make them inappropriate though.
Yeah,
We
we
have
still
a
get a choice
semi-
of what we're gonna read. So
We have
we're
a
not.
semi-family friendly show.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get to what we're talking about today. So the plan for today is talking about custom orders. So I would say we both have our own experiences with custom orders. If you've been in the game quite a long time, a lot of people will say I don't do any custom orders. So they might have a reason for that, but we'll talk about
Becca.
that. But yeah, so we'll talk about customs and yeah. So right now, as of now, do you do custom orders?
Me, no. Unless,
customs
okay,
at
wait.
all.
I will.
You
say
don't
this.
do no. It's not completely like that because you told me before.
Okay, I won't do custom orders unless it's over $200.
Okay.
So it's got to be worth the money. And this is not including wholesale clients. If a wholesaler wants a specific item that they want to sell, that is not what I consider a custom order. What I consider a custom order is somebody coming in and saying, hey, I'd really love this mug, but I want it to say this, even if it's something that I already have. Will you make it? And I will say no. Especially if it's a word mug, because I've stopped making word mugs and people people break things, and so sometimes they'll break their mugs. Like I had a few people come up to me and say, "Hey, like, will you make this?" I'm like, "Sorry, I don't make those anymore. Like it's a pain in the butt." And now, if somebody came up to me and was like, "Yo, I need a blue mug," and I have a mug blank right next to me, I'm going to be like, yeah, it'll be done Thursday. That's not a custom order to me. Like, that's like, oh, hey, like, it's something you already have in stock that's just not glazed. That's fine. And if it's not anything, like, special, then it's fine. If it was something that I had to ship, I'd probably say no. But,
Have you ever, like, showed them, like, they want a mug with a certain thing on it, just say, okay, here's a mug, but you need to paint a pot to put that on there yourself?
Oh yeah. People have like, well, I really want this. I'm like, well, you can always come in and paint it yourself. That is always something that you can do, and it's the same cost. I mean, it's it's not like you're okay. It's $5 more because you're paying a studio fee, but it's for the experience too, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I think I stopped doing custom orders like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'll get into why I stopped later.
And like the term custom might factor into like, can you sell it to someone else if they do not want to buy it?
Right. Yeah.
So like if it's very specific and it says happy birthday Julie with a date on it, like, are you going to be able to sell that to somebody else?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah. I will always do a custom place setting. Like 100%. If somebody says, hey, I want a place setting, a 10-piece, 12-piece place setting, I will always do that. Because without a doubt, it's going to be over $200. Without a doubt, like, it's not something that would normally be available to people, but I understand that people want place settings, and they're fun for me to make. So, even though they're a little pain in the ass sometimes, but they're fun.
Yeah. But those forms within the place setting would be pieces you already make.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not that you wouldn't be like, make me goblets for this place setting or
Right, I
something
would
like
never,
that if you don't make that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also have the memory of a squirrel. So so if somebody asks me to make one thing, like a singular item, I guarantee you without a shadow of a doubt that I will forget it. My mother has been asking me to make her 20 spoon rests for like 4 months. And I still haven't done it. I did a giveaway a couple months ago on Instagram and I completely forgot about it. And the two people that were doing won the giveaway were like, am I getting my plate? And I was like, oh shoot. I still haven't sent it out. I'm gonna send it out today or tomorrow. So, well, one of them got flash sale stuff, so she was like, you can just pack it in with that. I'm like, perfect.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I will forget 100%. $115 1,425%.
So the custom item just adds to your list of small things that need to be, not small as in like effort wise, but like on a list of things it gets lost.
It doesn't even get added to the list.
Okay, yeah. So if we're talking priorities, it's very low, and then if it even gets on the priority list, it's
totally
hard to get to.
What about you, Ryan? I know you do customs.
I do some customs. I've turned down customs. I would say, I mean, I get asked at like shows and stuff about certain ideas that people have. It's like, oh, do you make? I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm getting commitments for like custom orders. If someone says, do you make French butter keepers or something like that? I'm like more than happy to just point them to someone else at the show that I know is there that makes those. And I'm like, this person makes them. You should go see them.
Oh, absolutely.
The most like customs I've done the last couple years have probably been, I've probably done like 4 or 5 maybe. Like the customs I've done in the past have been like a little creamer with like a sugar jar. Like I don't really make any things with like 2 pieces like jars or anything like that. I've made that before. I've made some chip and dip bowls last year that were really successful.
I remember that. That was an adventure.
It was definitely worth it. And those were just custom because I don't make that form because it's so like there's so much to it, I guess, and it's not a super small item to make. So I think I'll be making some more of those this year, and then some like really off the wall stuff that I'll probably talk about in my like one that was not so fun, I guess. But yeah, I do customs occasionally. The most recent one was making some like cauldron mugs from someone that I actually went to grade school with, like, and I haven't seen in a long time. So it was basically like a form I already make, but a little bit of an addition to it. And then a certain glaze that I already have, but I just need to like make sure it looks right for what they want. So I guess that was the most custom thing I've made. And I made enough of them that it fulfilled the order, and then I had a few left over, and I sold all of those for the price I wanted. So like it worked out just fine.
Yeah.
That was a custom that I could sell the remainder, and it wasn't like not sellable. But yeah.
I feel like custom orders just like distract you from making your line cohesive, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a production potter, like a custom order, just it gets thrown in the mix and it kind of knocks you off. I feel like unless you're looking for the positive side of it, with like, oh, I need to get out of my like grind of doing the same thing over and over and over.
Totally. I've 100% taken on custom orders just because I wanted the challenge. Like, somebody asked me to make them a sink for their travel trailer. Like, it was like an RV. And I love it when somebody comes to me and is like, I have this thing and can you do it? And I'm like, I've never done that before. Let's try it, you know? I like this last, teapot pour over thing that I did, you know, not something I would normally do. However, it's a wholesale order, and it's wholesale potential, and it's a coffee roaster, and they really want these cool, well, most people think they're cool, teapot pour over things where they have a pour over that goes right into a teapot, and then it has a spout and everything so you can pour it out, but they're not 2 separate entities. It's one.
That's pretty cool, actually. When I saw it, I was thinking it was going to be 2 pieces and they had to fit nicely. No. But when I saw it, I was like, that's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, and I think that if it had been 2 pieces, I would have said no in a heartbeat. But because it was one, it was like, oh, this is kind of like a challenge, and why not? It's not something I'm going to sell by any means, so, you know, it's fine. But yeah, definitely I like a good challenge.
How do you figure out like pricing for stuff like that? I feel like that's the hardest part with the custom, because they want to know how much they're going to be paying for this thing, and like estimating your time realistically for something that you have unknowns about is so hard.
I know. Well, I think that it's important to not breach out of your comfort level by any means. Like, for me, taking something that's a challenge doesn't mean that I can't do it. You know, like making a teapot pour over. First of all, I told them there is a chance that I will not be able to do this. Like, I never promised anything. And then once I made the test, that's when I was like, this is how much money it's going to be. I think I probably priced it a little bit too low. I don't think they have the clientele to buy a $100 teapot, you know? So, but at the end of the day, when I was doing it, I was like, this is a hell of a lot more easy than I thought it would be, you know?
What about the functionality of it? Are there things with how it functions that you can't really foresee until it gets used? And
Yeah,
with making
yeah.
something brand new, like, you don't really know.
Yeah, totally. You kind of have
That-
to take a shot in the dark, I suppose.
Right.
That's why I'm making a test, though, so I'm going to glaze it, and then we'll test it. Like, I'll pour it over and over and over and over again. We got to put the filter in correctly, you know, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've got burned a couple times on pricing because I underprice, or you take a form that you already make, like a serving bowl or something, and you scale it up, and they say, I want a bowl that is this size.
Right.
And you're like, okay, going from a 10-inch bowl to like a 16-inch bowl is a big jump.
That's a huge jump.
So, like, that's where I've got burned a little bit in the past. Where I'm like, okay, that's how much clay I need for this size. So if I scale that up and I need to get it this size, how much am I going to need?
Yeah.
And then how many am I going to have to make with that? So if we're talking like a whole bag just to get like 2 bowls or something. And then like, you know, I've got more clay, so I got more trimming. I got to dry it slower, so it's going to take longer to get to a point where I can like fire it.
Right.
And then like what is the like proportions they want. So some of those specifics, it depends on the person too. Like some people are very particular,
Oh, yeah. I usually
and
don't
like,
go
are
with
you
this.
going to be able to satisfy what they are picturing in their head?
Right.
I feel like that's kind of part of what factors into whether I'm going to do it or not.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, my gosh. I've told people... I admit that I've told people no because I didn't want to work with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that in person, like when they're telling you the idea
Or over the phone.
and it's pretty quick, or?
It's yeah, I mean it's not anything personal. It's not like it's just it's usually about what like season of life I'm in right there, if it's summer, if it's winter, if I have time to think about this, and if there's a potential for more. If there's a potential for more and I know that I don't want to do it in the first place, there's almost a guarantee that I'm going to say no. You
The
know,
potential for more, like a second custom order from
right,
them?
like a second order. I think that I think that's something that people ordering, and I don't know if there will be a lot of people listening to this that order a whole lot, but I think that's something that people ordering don't realize is that I just lost my whole train of thought.
Is it something about the effort
Oh.
involved and the
Yeah,
research
well,
involved?
most people
or?
think that multiples of something should make something less money. Like the standard question of like, oh well, if I order 100 of those, can I get a break on it? And for somebody like me who's a one-man show, I'm like, no, but I'll put more money in it. If you want to pay $2 extra for 100, I'm fine with that. Because
Because you have to make more than 100. You have to make like 125.
Yeah, and well, yeah, because inevitably something will break, a cat will die, like, you know, fall all over it or something, you know, but like making 100 mugs is not easier than making 20. It's making 20 mugs is easier than making 100. So
Right.
quantity is not a driving factor ever in price, I think. And you know, and it's like the question I get all the time, well, what if I order 100 of those? It's still the same price. You're not going to get a break on that. Like, I still have to go through all of the things, you know, and so I think that that's important too as somebody who's buying, that the price that you are given is the price that you're given because of all the factors involved, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to stick up to that sometimes because you're like grateful for them wanting to spend $200 on an order.
Right.
And you feel like if you give them $20 of a break or something on it, then you're still getting $180, like a dollar's a dollar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Are you risking not getting the order if you say no, they're going to be full price?
Right. Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Are you saying like I don't appreciate your order more than someone who is just 6 random people buying 6 things than you buying 6 things?
Totally. I think that okay, I should say that the previous statement was geared towards wholesale customers, which isn't even about custom orders. But for like if somebody orders a place setting and they order more than 6, or I have a more than 4 $2 off deal, and I always have, like always. I don't know why.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's what I was relating it to when you were saying that.
Yeah.
That it was more like I'm getting 6 of the same thing.
Yeah, no, I'm talking, yeah. So, it's different. I think it's different between 6 and 100, right? Yeah, I think that it's appropriate to like do a set discount is what I would say. A set discount. Instead of a quantity discount, a set discount. So,
cuz the wholesale, they're already getting a discount. They're already getting 50% of it.
They totally are.
Off, and they're profiting on the remainder, you know.
Sorry, that was like a sidewall, and I was relieving all my pet peeves. So okay, moving back. Yes, okay, set discount. I always do $2 off. So if a plate is $20, it'll be $18 each if you get more than 4.
Yeah.
Which I feel like maybe I should up that to 6.
Your plate should be more than $18, I feel like.
Yeah, you've seen my plates. They're pretty nice.
I mean, well, I've seen your pasta bowls. I don't know that I've seen a plate, but
your mom
I
has
can
one of
imagine
my
your
plates.
plates are really nice. So, like, I don't make plates that much, so I was starting to price my plates at a minimum of $32 a plate because I don't want the demand issue of. I want people, if they're going to ask me, do you make place settings? I want it to be worth my money to make them a set of 4 or 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they take up so much space in the kiln, and I can't get it. Depending on the glaze, like, it's hard to get consistency.
Yeah, I don't have that issue anymore.
Because it has to be in the perfect spot of the kiln and stuff like that. So
yeah, I definitely don't have that issue anymore. I would have had that issue maybe a year ago, but now I have plate stackers. I have large kilns. I can make a number. I can put 12, 15, 20 plates into a kiln, no problem. So I think that that's kind of the difference. I know, like, Rebecca Graves has a really good price on plates, and they're much higher than mine. She always tells me my prices are too low. Here we are again. But yes, I know that I should price my plates higher. Maybe someday they'll go up to 25. But, yeah, I actually enjoy making plates. I enjoy it and I hate it all at the same time. I love the process.
I love the throwing process.
The process
throwing
of
is
making
perfect,
plates is
fine.
so
Like,
fun.
if I could just throw them and then someone else could do the trimming, and then I can come back and, like, fire them.
Yeah.
And then someone else does the glazing and firing at the end, like,
I don't mind
good.
I don't mind the glazing either, actually. The glazing for me is kind of fun.
You have big bins too, so.
Oh no, I do the pour and dump method.
Oh really?
What is
Okay.
it like, where you pour it and then you swirl it around the rim? And then you dump it out?
Yeah. I just use tongs and dunk them in there if they're good enough to fit into a 5-gallon bucket. But
yeah,
yeah, those would be really hard. So I'm hoping the price is good on those, that I don't get into that issue.
Yeah.
But
I also feel kind of like a sucker too, because I do come from one of those families that like doesn't like to pay any money on anything. That like I remember this one place setting a couple, like I think it was last year or something, and I think it was like the first full place setting that I did, and it was a custom order. I can't remember if all the pieces were in my line, but I remember making the invoice, and I kind of knew who the customer was, and I remember looking at the invoice and being like, this person has children, and like, you know,
you're like, I'm not gonna charge them that because they have children.
like, well, yeah, it was kind of one of those situations where it was just like, I know part of their situation, and I really don't want to charge them this much money, and so I ended up doing like a discount off of it. And I don't regret it.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Well, yeah, you're not going to regret it the way you phrased it like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some of that is like, if you did that too much at scale, that would hurt your business.
Oh, absolutely. When I was starting out, I never gave any discounts at all. But now that I've kind of have like an established state of being, I can be a little bit more lenient on that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't recommend to anybody starting out their business give discounts to anyone, especially your mother. Make your mother pay.
Are you listening, Mom? You hear that?
Make them pay. Especially because my mom gives me the most ridiculous orders too. Like, she has put me through the ringer on custom orders. And I'm like, Mom, this is ridiculous. And yes, you're paying.
I've turned down a custom from my dad. He asked for something ridiculous. I'm like, you could buy that thing at like Home Goods for like $20. I'm not making you the. He asked for like an umbrella stand that was like 3 feet tall or something, and I'm like, that would barely fit in my kiln. That would cost you like over $100. I'm not charging you that. Go to Lowe's and get one for like $20 or something.
That's hilarious. I know.
And then,
yeah.
And then it's like, oh, but I'm giving you business. No, you're giving me a headache is what you're giving me.
Yeah, I think that it's really important, especially when custom orders are involved. Custom orders and family, okay? Is your family asking you this because they think they're helping you or because they are helping you? And you need to determine that, okay? Because if they aren't helping you and you're going to end up hating your family because you made this thing for them and it didn't work out and all these things happened and all this problem happened and then by the end of it they expect you to give them a discount, you do not need to do that. Like, no,
that's great.
Just drop it right there. Drop it, move along. Say, you know what? I can't do that for you. I've probably recommended you for a lot of things, especially when people ask me for yarn bowls. I'll be like, I don't
yarn bowl. That's what I was just thinking. Send them my way. Send them my way.
So I think that that's also a very important thing to say is that sometimes family and friends do not realize the process that you have to go through to do certain things.
But actually, they probably understand more than most people, but they still want a discount.
Yes, that's true.
They probably follow you on social media and they see that you're working and you're doing this thing and you got this side gig and you're working at it and you're selling at shows. Like, they probably know that more than other people do.
Right. I have a friend, my best friend. She will listen to this podcast because she's my best friend, out-of-state best friend. And she's the best like example of what a good friend is when buying something from an artist. She expects 0 discount. She buys things on my regular sales. She sometimes does custom orders, but they're always within the realm of what I can do. And she's not pushy. She always gets a discount because she doesn't expect it. And she, but she supports me fully, and she also understands that sometimes things just don't work out. And if you're a friend and you have a friend that does a craft, be that friend. Be the friend that pays full price. Be the friend that supports you no matter what. Be the friend that, understands that shit hits the fan sometimes.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen. You're the bomb. She was listening to our podcast like this today or whatever last week, and she's texting me about that story about the kid, and she was like, "This kid is hilarious." Like that teacher definitely doesn't like that kid. Okay, so what else? What else do we got?
What is your most positive custom order experience?
Do you have one in the back?
I have
of your
one.
head?
Yeah.
What? Go with yours.
Yeah, I'll start. So my most positive is last year it goes back to the Chip and Dip Bowl, but last year, Art on Vine, it was an event in February, probably this time exactly last year, and kind of a slow day. I probably sold $250 worth or something at this show, so it wasn't a great sales day, but I had a woman that come up, and she was asking about a plate that I had sitting there. She was like, I really like this plate and these colors and stuff, and she was like, I'm really good at making guacamole, and I have some weddings coming up, so I want to give a chip and dip bowl with my guacamole recipe to a number of weddings this summer. So I was like, great, here's my card. How much would that, she kind of asked, how much would that be? I didn't really respond. I think she said, because I think she saw the price of my plates, and she said, how about $75 a piece or something? Can you make that for $75 or something like that? And I was like, yeah. So, so I got that happened in February, and I probably didn't have to deliver the first one until like April. So I had a little time. And then over the summer, I probably made 5 of them. So she bought 5 of them throughout the summer, and I think she's going to get more this summer. So that's probably my most positive custom experience, because she told me what she liked, the colors and stuff. And I said, okay, let me get some stuff made, and I delivered a little bit over time, and I was like, when's your next date that you need it by? And she lived like 5 minutes from me. She paid in check every time. She was there to meet me when I needed it and all that, and it was super easy. So
That's
that was my favorite. Yeah.
I do love wedding gifts because the person buying them is not getting the gift, so they're like, it looks great. I love that. You're like, I don't have to like
funny?
it, they do.
I actually met one of the couples that came up to me at a show later in the year that said, I think we have a piece of yours. It's a chip and dip that we got as a gift from this person. So they saw me at a show, and they received one of them. So that was pretty cool.
And we hated it. It's so ugly.
No, they didn't say that.
I'm kidding. Of course not. Okay.
So that was my most positive experience. All right. What about you?
Okay. So mine was this last Christmas, and I know I don't do custom orders, but Christmas time, blah, blah, blah. There's a guy whose wife broke a Leavenworth logo mug that I made, and it was her favorite mug ever. And so I remade the mug, and it was just this whole process. Nope, I lied.
It's like a badge mug?
Can I change my story in middle?
Yeah, I guess. I mean...
Okay, well, anyway, he gave it to his wife for Christmas, and she was, super stoked about it. Okay, that was really nice, right? And I felt like she was really appreciative. But here's actually what the custom order that I like to do the most, and it's the most rewarding. I forgot about that because I was doing these mugs at the same time as that one. I have a customer down in Redmond, Washington, and her mom has, muscular dystrophy.
Dystrophy, yep.
Okay. Anyway, so she cannot hold on to a mug with one hand. And so a couple years ago, she called me and asked if I would make mugs with 2 handles. And so for her mom. So I did.
So she was already a customer of yours, and she had used your mugs before?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. And so I did, and then I've gotten kind of consistent custom orders for probably once a year. So her mom breaks them pretty frequently. And so, but it's my favorite custom order to do because, I mean, I'm just adding an extra handle. It's not like a big deal or anything. But the lady, I just feel like it's going to a good cause. And, you know, I always drop them off. And on top of dropping them off, I get to drive through this really ritzy neighborhood. And I really like houses. so I get to look at all the houses when I drop them off. But, yeah, I don't know. It's one of my favorite custom order things to do just because it's going to somebody that might not get a normal coffee drinking experience, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, she cannot find a coffee mug that fits her needs.
Right, like a two-handled coffee mug.
It has, yeah.
Is what she needs, and she can't find somebody who make them other than me. Or, I mean, I don't know if she's tried really hard, but, yeah, so it's kind of like, that's really rewarding. So that's the one. A cool one. That's the one like small custom order that I will always do. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you told me about that one before, which is pretty cool.
It's
kind of like when you're Sophie mugs.
Trophy mugs.
Trophy
because
mugs.
They look like a trophy.
Oh, right. That's like when you're learning how to pull handles or something, and you put like 4 on a mug or to practice. All right. Next up. What is the worst custom experience
I don't know if we
had?
should say these, Ryan. I don't know if this is a great idea.
Why not? You don't have to mention names here.
Okay.
Or what made it the worst. One of the worst. It doesn't have to be the worst, I guess. Do you want me to start?
Yes.
Yes. You're like, can I avoid the answer? All right, so my worst was something that I got in over my head with like what complexity was going to be with this thing. So a person that my wife works with has I believe it's like a it's like a cooker or some kind of charcoal stove or
barbecue
something like
thing.
that, outdoor thing. And they have like a porcelain disc that goes on this that the coals sit on or they fall through, and it's like it has holes in it, and then the coals like fall through that.
Okay.
So it was porcelain. They bought it from some place with the whole device, and it broke. So they needed to replace it, and they knew that I did ceramics, so they asked my wife like, "Hey, he does this. Can he make me a replacement one?" So I never actually saw it in like process to see like what it actually was doing. So I don't know like if it's just got constant heat sitting on this thing. But basically I made a 3/4 inch disc that was just like a flat slab. And then I cut a bunch of holes in it. And then it took forever to dry. I must have blown up like 3 of them throughout the process. You know, they had to fit a certain diameter because it fit inside a certain dimensions. And I made one of them. First one broke, and then I made a second one, and that one the holes weren't big enough or something like that. And then I made a third one, probably broke the third one. Then I made a fourth one. Holes were bigger, like it functioned okay. But I didn't know the exact like heat it was going to withstand, so like I fired it to bisque temperature but not all the way to glaze temperature because I was worried about the diameter not being right after I fired it, and it shrunk again. So much back and forth with this thing.
That should have been better.
What's that?
The bisque temperature should have been better.
Better than glaze temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So I never actually ended up figuring out what it was used for and like seeing it in action. So I must have made 6 of these or 7 of these over like a 2-year span.
Oh my god.
Because they broke and then I replaced, and I think in total I probably got $80 out of it. Because the one was $40 and that was the first payment, and then I replaced it, and I was like, if this one breaks because I had a big chunk out of it, then I'll replace it for free because it already had a big chunk blown out of it. So yeah, that was probably my worst experience with an order. I still have one that is not bisque fired, and then I have one that is bisque fired, but I hope that I do not have to give that, or else I'll ask for money for it, or maybe I'll just have a ceremony to break it or something.
You know,
I
it'd
don't
be
know.
interesting if you like parbised it, because it's going on charcoal, right? So it's like heating up as it goes.
I don't know. I think charcoal sits on top of it, and there's holes in it so that the charcoal ashes can fall through the holes into like a receptacle that's metal that like catches coals, kind of like the bottom of a grill or something, like
Why
catches
didn't they
the
just
ash.
buy another one?
They would have had to buy a whole a whole new stove or whatever it was.
That's bull. They
I
could have
don't
done
know.
a Google search. They would have found one.
But how would they have found a porcelain ceramic disc that is that exact size that fits in? I don't know. I think the dimensions were very specific about how it had to fit in there, and that's what made it custom. I don't know.
I would make it metal.
Such a headache.
That does sound like such a headache. Okay, so I think I figured something out that won't discriminate towards people. A lot of my custom orders that have went bad was not because of the order. It was because of the people. So I will not say those. My church, this was like 4 years ago, and my church really wanted to buy some vases from me, and I said yes. And they like wanted like really modern up and down vases, which if I was doing it now would literally be no problem at all. Like I could do it no problem. But back then I was not as well equipped in larger items. And so I made 4. They blew up in the kiln, I'm pretty sure.
Ooh.
And then I made...
So how big are we talking here?
They weren't even that big. I think they were
Like 10 inches or something, or 12 inches?
I think one was like 16 inches tall, and one was like 13, one was 10, and one was 9 probably. Or no, one was 12 and one was 9.
It's pretty big though.
Big though.
Especially if you're not like experienced in making bigger forms, and you leave a bunch of weight at the bottom and
right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, well, and also you have to consider that, like, we as just humans in general have no idea what 12 inches looks like when it is...
Right. Especially after it shrinks.
Right, when it's on, like, a pottery wheel, you know. So, yeah, so there was that. And then I eventually, like, made them, and I finally got them, and then they, like, cracked all the way through, and, like, It was such a shit show. It was just such a shit show. But they still use them, I think. I just told them to, like, put them up there and put a plastic cup in there, so if they needed to put flowers. But they put fake flowers in there anyway.
Fake flowers, yeah.
But, they
so
were
they're
fine.
still there?
I think so. The glaze turned out great. Like, I remember glazing them was really good. But definitely the form... Oh, I just love looking back at my history and, like, seeing how shitty I used to be.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'd, like, pick that up and be like, damn, that's heavy.
Probably. I probably wouldn't. I don't know if I would make one again. But, yeah.
You kind of make those pieces that the inside at the bottom is just so thick. Because it's not a vertical wall. It's like angled inward.
It's like a triangle on the inside, and it comes down to a point, not a right angle. And, like, the outside wall is like 1.5 inches. Or 2 inches all the way around.
Right.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Oh, man. That's like a candlestick.
It is.
Jeez. Yeah. I guess what would you say makes it a negative experience? Would it that you can control? Is it, I would say that it factors into we as humans underestimate the time and effort it takes to do something that we have not done before.
Yes.
We are terrible at estimating time.
Absolutely.
And even the time of going back and forth with someone to determine what they actually want. Like I was talking with a friend yesterday, and she was talking about the custom order that she's been working with this person on, and she's probably spent like 4 hours in total with like an hour phone call here and, you know, emails back and forth, and all this time that you spend going back and forth on this thing, and you're not even to like getting an estimate yet, or, you know, a product that's even been practiced on being made or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that it's, For sure. So many projects I've been like, oh, that'll be easy, it'll be fine, and then you spend like so much time, especially wholesale products. Not to get back to wholesale, but that is especially what I feel like I underestimate my time value life with is wholesale. But yeah, I think that there's like so much time talking to people, and I think that's also why I stopped, is because I don't have the energy or the patience to talk to people that much. And so yeah, I just didn't, I got burned really early on. Like the first order I ever did was a custom order that I got burned on. So I've kind of been like very apprehensive about it ever since, but yeah.
Did you get burned because you didn't agree to a price, or you did agree to a price and then that burned you because you put way more work than you actually got out of it? Or
No, well, with like Starbucks, when I was doing the Starbucks order, we agreed upon a quantity, and then they changed their mind, like right when I was just getting them done. So like they're like, oh, instead of 30, we actually want 15, And so, and me being like the non-confrontal new business owner,
like,
who's
that's
working
not what
with,
we agreed to, kind of thing.
yeah, who's working with Starbucks, didn't know how to buck up and tell him. And then, but also one of my first like personal orders, it was just like, oh, well, can I have this color? Can I have this color? No, we don't have that color, but I really want this color. I'm like, well, I'll try. Never say I'll try if you know that it's not going to happen. Just say, sorry, nope, I can't. you know? And there was just like a lot of impossible scenarios that I was like, well, maybe. And I should have just been like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And eventually I ended up firing the customer. So
Yeah, I definitely try to
by the way. You
avoid.
can fire your own customers.
Oh, really?
That is in your own wheelhouse. Hi, so-and-so. I really don't think this is going to work out. I appreciate you wanting me to do it, but you know what? It's just not in my wheelhouse right now. Thank you. Goodbye.
Nice. I probably should have done that a couple times.
Yeah. I also think, I think it's important to note that you are in control and you can fire customers. Also, what was the second thing? It was important. Oh, you don't have to do custom orders. If you are not the type of personality and you can make money not doing custom orders, don't do them. If you don't want to do them, don't do them. Don't feel like you have to be trapped into a custom order situation. I think that that's something that I was doing for a long time and realized that it was like slowly killing me. Doing all these custom orders and like ruining my Christmas, ruining, all these things. Not because I didn't like the people that I was doing them for or the orders. It was just, such chaos. And I think that if you know who you are, you yourself, and you don't like that kind of thing, then don't do it. If you love custom orders, then do them. But,
Right.
That's...
And some people thrive on the custom orders. Like, they do pet portraits or, like, whatever. And it's, like, very custom to that person because that's what their business is. It's doing custom portraits or custom... Like, people... I think we've had somebody do, like, a custom house portrait or something like that that's drawn.
Right.
Like, those are cool. I mean, they have a certain price for that because there's more effort involved in that. So, price yourself accordingly. Know what your time and all that is worth. And I feel like when you're early on, you're just happy somebody wants to pay you for stuff to like make them something. So you're like, oh, you want this thing custom? Yeah, sure, I'll do it, because you don't have other sales like waiting, or you don't know where the next sale is.
Right.
So if you have a custom order, it gives you a sense of like, I'm working towards something versus, spending 5 hours working on production and getting stock built up that is worth probably more in value in total than like a custom order that you've worked on for 5 hours.
Totally. But, some people make their whole business on custom orders, so...
Yeah.
It can be good for some people. It can be bad for others.
Yeah. Just depends on what you're comfortable with and whatnot. All right. I think that's all the custom talk I had and that I was thinking.
Okay.
What do you any last words about custom stuff?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Wheel Talk. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you could find the podcast at wheeltalkpodcast, or you could find myself at RD Ceramics. That's R's in Ryan, D's in Durban, Ceramics.
Or you can find me at 5 Lines Pottery Studio. That's the number 5. And don't forget, share this with your friends, like us on Instagram, and don't forget to write a review. It helps us an awful lot. Thanks.